I'm going to attempt to make an argument that DHT is the missing link in your TRT protocol. Look, a couple major points. Number one, DHT is not a byproduct. It is a power player. Number two, TRT alone doesn't always convert to enough DHT to do its job. This is why some people will be on TRT and everything's great, and then other people will be on TRT and everything has gone to shit. Number three, DHT enhances all manner of things relative to libido, specifically around dopamine, like dopamine receptor sensitivity, the response of dopamine in the brain, optimizes nitric oxide synthase, blunts serotonin signaling, and supports confidence, dominance, and motivation. But importantly, I want to talk about signs that you're low on DHT in your protocol and how having more DHT in the regimen is going to make things better, how to optimize DHT safely, and ultimately to make the point that DHT is not the enemy. It's the finisher. All right, before we start the video, super quick, give me like 40 seconds. Look, Cortex Labs is a TRT guidance sexual dysfunction resolution and performance optimization company. Cut and dry, what we do is help men to fix libido and erection issues that are on HRT or TRT. And you can hire me for any number of coaching packages, whether it's a one-off call with me, or it's an ongoing one-on-one 3-month or 6-month or even a longer package. You can do that stuff in under a minute at livecortex.com. I am always available as a coach, and I'd love to work with you. I'm biased, but I built one of the best nootropic stacks on the market. I mean, you take this stuff and it turns the brain on very, very quickly. You can buy it. It's mine. It took me 15 years of experience consulting CEOs on nootropics to formulate it, and I think you're going to love it. Let's talk about how DHT is not just a byproduct. It's not just this sort of like second thought from testosterone. Like testosterone supports the muscle tissue and is really good at being anabolic. But a lot of the other benefits that you get from testosterone are from DHT, right? So it's not a byproduct. It's actually a power player. DHT at the androgen receptor in terms of activation and gene expression is 5 to 10 times more potent than testosterone. So much so that testosterone disassociates or like stops binding to the androgen receptor in some short period of time, shorter than DHT, whereas DHT stays bound to the receptor, activating it, agonizing, creating gene expression for a lot longer than testosterone. DHT is essential for penile tissue health. There are many studies that lay this out really, really clearly, and we've been over them, so I'd encourage you to watch some of my other content regarding this. DHT is important for glands sensitivity. You know, the glands, for the sensation of the penis, DHT is critical. And DHT maintenances and optimizes erection firmness. So DHT has unique central nervous system effects that testosterone and estradiol do not replicate and cannot replicate. So that's point number one. Number two, why TRT alone doesn't always convert to enough DHT. It is hard to prove this, but one of the things that I've been able to glean in doing coaching on this for years is that sometimes, for whatever reason, and this is probably some sort of 5-alpha reductase enzyme deficiency or impairment, exogenous testosterone equals less skin, liver, and testicular DHT compared to your natural endogenous testosterone. If you're injecting, it is likely the case that for some people you're getting less DHT than if your body was just making a bunch of testosterone endogenously. And what ends up happening there in these cases where DHT is not being converted enough is you get mismatches in the protocol. Right? You have a ratio that is skewed heavily in favor of testosterone and estradiol and not enough to DHT. So here's where you get like a lack of penis sensation. Your libido is sort of sitting by the wayside. You don't really have strong sexual desire. You're not waking up in the morning with raging erections. Yeah, this is because of a mismatch and a misbalance in estradiol and DHT, and likely because you're not converting enough of your injections to DHT. Now, if we think about some of the libido aspects of DHT, like I can tell you using exogenous high potency DHT oil, that my libido is much stronger and much more visceral. I think one of the reasons it does this is probably because it's optimizing dopamine receptor density. You know, there's a bunch of literature on DHT itself suppressing estrogen-induced prolactin release, which would mean that it's acting on the dopamine D2 receptors in some positive way. So we know that DHT is dopaminergic. One of the things that DHT has the ability to do is blunt serotonin signaling. Blunt serotonin signaling. Everybody knows, and if you didn't, if you take an SSRI or if you're just overloading on serotonin, well, you can't have serotonin and dopamine in harmony when serotonin's too high. So it basically tends to inhibit dopamine to some level. DHT in your regimen, or having enough DHT converting from your testosterone, helps blunt some of that serotonin signaling so that dopamine can have the freedom to give you libido. And of course, like relative to the brain aspects of DHT, it supports confidence, dominance, and motivation. This is the male hormone. It's not testosterone that gives you confidence, dominance, motivation, a core grounded masculine frame. So all that said, let's talk about how to optimize DHT safely in all of these situations. Number one, you could add a microdose of either DHT gel, or some sort of DHT oil, or Proviron. No, Proviron isn't exactly DHT. It has some other mechanisms, but it will act at the ARs in a way which facilitates the central nervous system and like the penile action of DHT. But if you just need to add, like if you can get your hands on just a little bit of actual exogenous DHT, well, then that's going to solve your problems on TRT if you're one of those people that needs a little more DHT. If 5-alpha reductase enzyme expression, which is what converts your testosterone to DHT, is somehow genetically impaired or otherwise low, like from drugs that inhibit it, like finasteride, well, then exogenous DHT not only is a workaround, but it is the necessary solution in a good degree of those cases. In some cases, like as I've discussed with Ryan Root, this strategy of going on like 100 milligrams of test a week so that, you have the proper balance of test, estrogen, and DHT, that solves the problem for some people, right? Because you're not over aromatizing on 100 milligrams a week. I mean, if you are, then you have a serious problem with body fat and lifestyle. You need to fix that. But on 100 milligrams of test a week, you're not going to over aromatize and disturb that very delicate balance between testosterone, dihydrotestosterone, and estradiol. It tends to, in those cases, even though DHT might not be skyrocketed, it tends to at least be in a reasonable place to have balance, specifically because estrogen isn't up there like inhibiting the positive effects of DHT. But, okay, aside from that, this is why we have things like testosterone propionate and testosterone cream, both of which are going to give you more DHT. If you can run prop at high doses, call it 40 to 50 milligrams a day, or something like 70 milligrams a day. I mean, there's some people that have to do that. You're going to get the DHT that you need for erections. Believe me, you're going to get it. And generally the sexual system. Does it mean that you'll probably have to manage estrogen to some extent? Yes, that comes into play with AIs or otherwise DHT derivatives. TRT isn't necessarily easy, and you have to learn how to use those things. At the same time, cream, testosterone cream offers a perfect middle ground for individuals that respond really well to it. Because there, when you're rubbing it transcrotally, you're getting more of a systemic DHT production via conversion of test to DHT in your skin. There's a bunch of 5-alpha reductase enzymes there, specifically in the scrotal skin, 5-alpha reductase 2. So you want that kind of conversion of test to DHT, and cream offers that. You're going to find people on regular doses of cream, like 3 pumps of 200 milligrams per milliliter testosterone cream per day, end up with like estrogen at like 25 or 30, even if you're running a low dose of HCG to keep that part of things functional. Now, here's the caveat. In this situation, like with cream or prop as an example, there still may be something to say for like the testicular system itself. Because if you rub testosterone cream on the testicles, like, yeah, you're gonna get some DHT conversion, but it might not actually be enough for that system. You sort of have you need the endogenous DHT production and the endogenous DHT that's produced in the epididymis via 5-alpha reductase, as well as the seminal vesicles, for like really, really proper sexual function. This is one of the reasons, and there's papers on this too, that HCG is so useful in people's protocols, is because it's creating the natural flow of DHT kind of in the sexual organ space. So, cream plus a little bit of HCG. It's really going to solve that problem for people. So, like, to summarize, and I think people should think about this testosterone and DHT this way. Testosterone gives you the gas, okay? It's the gas. It's the fuel. But DHT puts it to the pavement. Without the DHT, you're going to be a car loaded up with gas, unable to really go where you need to go. I think that what we want to generally do, secondly, is reframe DHT from the fear-based notion that DHT causes prostate growth and hair loss to what is ultimately true, which is that DHT is the final step in feeling like a man. If you're dialed in on T, but you still feel off, DHT is the missing piece. Let's not forget, boys, dihydrotestosterone is the active androgen in the maintenance of nitric oxide-mediated penile erections in the rat. If you block DHT with finasteride, as seen in the highlighted part of this text, giving testosterone to a rat, and a human in this case, extrapolable, does not restore erections. It's not going to restore the erection response. The pharmaceutical company that comes up with a hair loss agent that does not interrupt the delicate balance between test, DHT, and estradiol will do a lot of revenue. And that is in the making. We're going to move past this state of feeling like DHT is the thing that causes prostate problems and hair loss, and more toward a state where for longevity, sexual function, masculinity, confidence, dopamine function, and for men to have the essence of what it is to be a man, DHT is in the driver's seat in that dynamic. All right, as I said in the beginning, we got two major products. We got a bunch of different products, but the ones I want you to focus on are the Torque Stack. I mean, this is a nootropic that I built after years of consulting executives on brain performance using nootropics. After all that experience, I built one. It is not for the faint of heart. It is very strong. You will notice it when you take it. And we've got like 3,000 bottles at the moment in stock, so you can buy a bottle down in the description of this video. You're going to love it. I'll put a coupon down below. What we primarily do is help men to get out of sexual dysfunction, okay? Erection issues, libido issues. My primary specialty in the context of HRT, TRT is to help people to regain libido and erections, even in cases of people that aren't on TRT, because some serious dysfunction, like sexual dysfunction, is going to require HRT and a real targeted protocol. Like, that is the answer. But TRT itself isn't always easy. That's why you have me. You can book me in under a minute for a one-off call directly with me, okay? We'll get your situation squared away. Or if you need serious long-term ongoing help, I'm here for that as well. We got one-on-one packages, 3 months, 6 months, and beyond. Book me in under a minute at livecortex.com. And we'll have the fact-finding call as soon as tomorrow. One of the most comprehensive video courses on TRT protocol mastery is in the works. And when it launches, you guys will be the first to know. All right. Give me that. Brother. It has been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you. Hope you got some educational goodness from this video. Like the video if you did. Makes a huge difference. Means a lot to my heart. We break this stuff down with scientific precision and anecdotal experience for many years prior to this and for many years to come. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. Kick ass, rock on. And you guys know, I'll talk to you boys in the next one.